alaykum qadrli tinglovchilar. Chet tillarini o'qitishning integrallashgan kursi fani bo'yicha navbatdagi mashg'ulotimizni boshlaymiz. Bugungi mashg'ulotimiz mavzusi Identifying the different components of a lesson plan deb nomlanadi. Ha, albatta, biz bugun darsni qanday rejalashtirish va dars rejasining qismlari haqida gaplashamiz. Demak, boshladik. A lesson plan. A note helps us think through what are we going to teach and how are we going to teach. Guide us during and after the lesson, identifying the most important components, parts of a lesson plan by thinking carefully about our learners. It looks like a road map or a series of road signs. Here we try to give some key concepts. Before the lesson, a lesson plan can help us in the following way. Write down the aims, the procedures for each stage of a lesson plan. Help to make sure we plan the most logical sequence to enable us to achieve those aims. During the lesson, first, help us to check timing, the time we plan for each step, because each time we should give time for each activity. Next one, check the lesson is following the sequence we decided. And also, a lesson plan reminds us what to do next. How can it help us after the lesson? It helps us keep plan as a record. What happened, what kind of change occurred, and it can show us how was our lesson from a lesson plan. And also it helps us to note to help plan the next lesson. Here are given lesson plan components which we should know. Class profile, timetable fit, main aim, subsidiary aim, stage aim, personal aims, assumptions, anticipated problems, possible solutions, teaching aids, materials, equipment, procedures, timing, interaction patterns, and homework. Lesson plan components. For example, we might plan a mingle as a way of practicing specific questions forms anticipate that students may find it difficult. First, a quick way of completing the task without. Next, practicing the target language. And the last one, work out some extra instructions to remind them what they have to do. Key concepts in the language teaching classroom, and here we tried to describe each lesson plan component. Level and number of learners, and it's called also class profile. For example, 24 students at intermediate level. Timetable fit. Students have already worked on simple descriptions of people, for example. Main aim or aims. To extend the range of vocabulary for describing people. Oral fluency practice. Subsidiary aims. For example, students use appropriate language for basic physical descriptions. Assumptions. Students can use present simple and past simple to describe habits and past events. Anticipated problem. Students may be unwilling to repeat the same exercise or task the last stage of a lesson, for example. Possible solution, if necessary, suggest that students report description from their original partner rather than repeating the task by their own. Here, the next part of a lesson plan. We are given timing, procedure, stage aims, aids and materials, and interaction pattern. In timing part, we can give time for each activity. For example, 5 minutes for students talk about their family. The students talk about their family, can be procedure. The next one is stage aims. For example, warm-up or lead-in to get students talking and introduce the topic. Next column is about aids and materials, and in this part we should put the names of aids and materials like family photographs brought in by students. Last one is interaction pattern. Here we should show in what way our students or learners work. For example, peer work. Is it individual work or is it a whole group work, and so on. When we're making a lesson plan, we need to be sure about the learning rationale. Reasons should be given for the lesson plan. We need to build a variety. How can we different activity types, language skills, and interaction patterns should be considered here. We can include stage, which we can leave out also. For example, not include something if necessary. Include some different possibilities in a lesson plan. For example, we should have extra activity. Learners take less time than expected to complete a task. Or in other cases, we are not sure how well parts of plan will work. And here we try to give do's and don'ts. What should we do? We should keep lesson plan as simple as possible. We shouldn't use useful sentences. Don't describe every step in detail. But we may want to write down some important things in a complete for like prompts for drilling, questions to check students' understanding, instruction, and others. A lesson plan should be clear and easy to read. For example, how can we do it? Different colors we can use, boxes, underline, drawings of the way the word will look. And also lesson plan. Here we should mention about background. Background, thinking carefully about who our students are, what they need, what our aims are. And they provide a context that helps us to write. Next one is procedure. And here we tried to give some tests in order to check your understanding. For example, what is personal aim? Here the right answer is to check understanding of new lexical items. Assumption. Which one is a good example for assumptions? Learners may come from China, Spain, and Thailand. Procedure here, class profile. We can check with different ways and different tests. These are important information which I aim to give you. I think they are important for you. Shuning bilan bugungi darsimiz o'z nihoyasiga yetdi. E'tiboringiz uchun rahmat.